I'm not going to do it now.
No,
We're live.
Hello! Hello,
Episode
hello,
9. We made it to
hello.
9 episodes. You know what else we made it to this week? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 0.
Let's go.
Let's go, baby.
Just call Kevin O'Connell McGarrett because he's 5-0 now.
It is so beautiful to see 5-0 and nobody else in the NFC at 5-0.
It's great. It's great, but we still have 12 games to go.
Yes. Yes.
We've done this before, and we remember how that went, don't we?
Yes.
So things can turn in a heartbeat in this league. You know, but you take it a week, but every week that you win, just be happy. And that's what we have to be this week. It was not our best game.
Nope.
All around. It was like, might have been the best defensive game they had.
I was happy with the way we performed against Rodgers.
I mean, it wasn't our best defensive game we had because we've had better defensive games, but they were against worse opponents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought we played well against Rodgers.
I don't think Rodgers is that good anymore.
I mean, he didn't look like his old self, but he can still pick a defense apart.
But not in the same way. He's Charlie Checkdown now.
So I was listening to something, I think it was probably Locked On, and they were talking about how Rodgers has a really hard time with receivers that are new, and which is why Lazard is one of the highest performers on the Jets right now, because he doesn't he doesn't go through cues during training camp. And then he wasn't at training camp very much.
Right.
But he doesn't go through cues during training camp because he doesn't want any of the people, the wide receivers, or any of the teammates that get cut to tell his cues to anyone else. So he doesn't communicate with his wide receivers very well in general. But then on top of it, he doesn't communicate with them about his cues or about anything else because he's paranoid that they're going to leave, which I think is just a really bad quarterback. But I don't like Aaron Rodgers to begin with, so
he's a member of the Tin Hat Society as it is, so that doesn't surprise me.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
But I think you can tell. It makes sense because Lazard has been one of his best wide receivers. Wilson's getting up there, but
the touchdown pass to the Lazard is when you really got to see that.
Yeah,
because that was a scramble drill play, and he just rolled out and found him cutting across the back of the end zone.
Which will be interesting to see if they trade for Adams.
Yeah,
they're gonna want a lot for Adams, though.
Yeah,
and Adams is
it's only a second-round pick.
Yeah, but he's 31 years old.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Am I giving up a second rounder for a 31-year-old wideout? I don't think so.
That's fair. That's fair. Although I wouldn't say he has the miles on him, for lack of a better word, that like Adam Thielen does.
True. Yeah.
Because he's been injured / on the Raiders and not at his normal performing self. So there could be an argument that he could still perform well for a few more years. But you're right. I wouldn't give up a second. But it'll be interesting to see where he goes because
some team is going to go and make a move. Don't be surprised if the Chiefs make a run at him.
The rumor is that they have, but they don't want to trade him to the Chiefs. The Chiefs are the only team that are willing to give the Raiders a second-round pick for him. Only people willing to meet them where they want, and they don't want that because it's the Chiefs.
It would be a bad look for the Raiders to trade him to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Yep. The Chiefs have got to find somebody, though, with Rice going down.
Yeah.
Or do they? They're 5-0 without him. I mean,
Worthy was
pretty
good.
Without him.
Yeah.
Worthy's.
Yeah.
He's good.
I mean, it's also Mahomes. I mean, he'll make something happen as long as his receivers can catch it.
Sometimes I hate him.
He's really good, though.
I know. But as in like a loathing, jealousy hate.
He has nothing on Jackson. Jackson couldn't be brought down. this weekend.
But like Mahomes can't. Well, that's. I wouldn't put Jackson up there with Mahomes just yet.
Here's what I'll say about Lamar.
Jackson looked like he was oil slicked, like
against a really bad Bengals defense.
Yeah, against the not great Bengals defense.
Well, yeah, but when they literally like have a hold of him and he twists and wiggles his way out,
or still gets the ball out of his hands, there was some insane plays.
Lamar is good. He's got a lot of natural ability. His deep ball leaves a lot to be desired, in my opinion. Yeah. And he makes bad. I've seen him make bad choices in big games.
Yeah,
like really, he's lucky they won on Sunday. He had a great game, and then he fumbled the snap. And if Zach Taylor had any brain in his head, instead of setting up for a long field goal, why would you do that? I don't care how good your kicker is. Wouldn't you want him to be able to kick a 30-yarder instead of a 50-yarder to win a game?
Yeah.
Like, I didn't get that. Your quarterback has had a great game. Burrow had a great game. Just keep playing your offense, at least until you get closer to where it's a chip shot. Why would you set yourself up for something like that? And then your rookie holder drops the ball, and that's why they lose. And your third string quarterback could turn around and hand the ball off to Derrick Henry for 51 yards and set up the field goal. So he had a great game, but in crunch time, what did he really do?
Yeah. Like I said, I don't think he's up there with Mahomes.
No.
Mahomes is on a class of his own. There's no one that can touch him. And he makes it's pure jealousy, hatred. Like, I'll be very honest.
Sure.
I wish he was a Viking. And I don't actually hate him. But I do, because he's not on the Vikings.
And that's it.
He's good.
People don't like him because of the people that surround him. It's not based on him. It's
the people that surround him are pretty awful people.
Yeah.
Like, his dad's been arrested, I think, a few times for drunk driving.
His dad, his wife, who has calmed down.
His brother.
His brother's a real jerk.
Yeah.
And I think Patrick kind of pulled him aside and said, "Listen, you got to stop showing up.
Yeah.
I can't deal with this anymore."
Yeah. He's got some weirdos around him.
He's a pretty good kid otherwise.
I know.
So that's where all the hatred comes. And as happens on this show, instead of talking about the Vikings win in London, we've talked about Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Gosh darn it.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
It's right fresh in our memory.
Yeah. But back to our game, the one that mattered to us. 3 interceptions, that's 6 in 2 weeks. Ginks now has 2 pick sixes, both against the Jersey teams.
Let's go.
And say all you want about how great Rodgers is and how he can pick apart a defense. He had no clue on that play what was going to happen.
Nope.
Yeah.
He thought he was going to see a linebacker blitz, and when he dropped back into coverage, it was all over from that point.
Yeah.
He had no idea. So as good as Aaron Rodgers used to be, he couldn't read that.
Maybe he should have come to training camp
or maybe he should just realize he's 40 plus years old.
Be a teammate. I don't know.
Call it a career.
Maybe we just have that good of a defense.
That's fair.
Our defense is really good. We only gave up 254 yards on Sunday.
I will say, I feel like, what was it? I think that this was an overall well-matched game. I know that Darnold had some issues and didn't look great, but the same things that we just said about the Vikings defense and Aaron Rodgers could also be said about Sam Darnold. Because I was convinced that was his name for a moment. I was like, that sounds right. No, sorry. Because he also didn't have a great game, but he was against a really good defense. Yeah. And this was probably the defense that actually made Justin Jefferson look like a good wide receiver instead of a great wide receiver, which is really hard to do.
Well, Sauce Gardner's one of the best in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, Jefferson also made them look kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
but
drew 5 DPIs.
right, but at the same time,
They frustrated him too.
yeah,
Yeah.
didn't have any like game like, oh my gosh, it's Justin Jefferson plays. He was a really good wide receiver in that game, which I think in order to take Justin Jefferson from great to good is probably the worst performance that he's had, which is still really good against a really good defense.
Yeah, and honestly, I think our offensive game plan could have been better, but it may have been hurt by Jones going out.
Yep.
I don't know if our some plays I would go back and
we just didn't have a run
change.
game.
We didn't have much of a run game. Jones went down, kind of thing. But Darnold missed leading his receivers enough to let them run. Like the Jefferson corner route where he's along the sideline. If he leads him on that, that's a tutty.
I don't know that he had the time on Sunday, though. He got sacked 4 times on Sunday.
No. I'm just saying, he's got to get it out. But if it's one of those of like, you can't have perfect accuracy all the time.
Right.
But, on the one with the Jefferson along the sideline is if he throws that ball 4 yards further, Jefferson catches it on the run and is running. And that's a 30-yard pass already.
Right.
And you're talking, you've got to make a 10% difference in distance.
His accuracy was a little bit off. It was not the best weather to be throwing the football in. I thought we called too many deep routes in this game.
I don't know if we called too many, but I felt we threw too many.
Yeah. Like the 4th down and 3 when we're going deep to Addison, I didn't get it.
So the Jets defense is second for yards per game, second in yards against, second in passing yards against, 14th in rushing yards against, 4th in sacks, and then 21st in interceptions.
Yeah.
They are an incredibly good defense.
Absolutely.
And I think, they're a better defense than the Vikings defense is based on these stats.
Yeah.
They are better than the Vikings. And so I think with Darnold.
Who's number 1?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay.
With Darnold having such a poor performance against such a staunch defense and we still won.
Yeah.
It's just, I think he deserves more credit.
Well,
and not from us, but just from the talking heads where people are like, oh, he's getting worse every game. But this is one of the best defenses in the NFL right now.
He's not getting worse every game. He had a bad game. He played well last week against the Packers.
It's the whole thing of let them play, let them keep talking us down.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Not going to hurt us any.
And here's the thing. Sammy had a rough game on Sunday. When the Vikings needed a drive to force the Jets to put up a touchdown to beat us, he was 3 for 5 for 51 yards to set up the field goal that put us up. So what we've seen out of him is even when things look like they're not going our way or they seem to be turning, he steps in and he says, okay, let's do this. And he's led us onto some really key drives at the end of games that have kept the opposition at bay or put them in a position like on Sunday when they couldn't just set up for a field goal to tie the game. They had to try and get the touchdown, and Gilmore makes the pick to end the game. I mean, that's what we're seeing out of Darnold. He doesn't let a game go bad. He may have a bad game, but he's not letting the game go bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very true.
Another thing we have to talk about, the yellow flags. I get that they match our uniforms. We got to stop getting called for penalties. That's 11 on Sunday. 11 penalties. Not good.
Yeah.
That's the most we've had so far, right?
Yeah, it was just bad. And another thing, our punt unit was really rough on Sunday.
Our special teams, whew,
except for Will the Thrill.
except for Mr. Thrill.
Yeah.
Our special teams struggles.
The punt side. I mean, we had right at the end of the half again a block in the back that was unnecessary, which pushed us back inside our 10. And then the ensuing punt to set up the short field. The coverage was awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there's 7 points given up because of our punt unit. And then
I think we just need to remind Darnold that we shouldn't.
we can't punt. But then we force a punt at a key moment where momentum's back our way, and we rough the punter. And I get that, people say, "Oh, that's a cheap call." You know what? It's the rule, though. He hit his plant leg.
Yeah.
Still shouldn't happen.
In a situation where we don't need a block.
No.
Yeah, where we don't need it to be so spicy.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
when we don't have the lead and we're trying to make something happen, okay. But not when the game's in that situation.
Did you notice what happened later in the game when the Jets were forced to punt from deep in their own end? Nobody went in.
Yeah, nobody makes it in a back. Okay. Yeah, okay. We're off.
Yep. But, the good thing is, with all those mistakes or those issues, they still win the game.
Yeah.
It's easier to work on problems after a win than after a loss. And that's what they get to do. And they get to do it for 2 weeks.
And it is only our special teams hunting. That is a very large issue and has caused the games to be closer than they should be. But it is only the special teams punting.
Yep. And hopefully we don't get to see too much of that this year and we'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to give a quick shout out to Nick Mullins.
Way to go.
One pass, 23 yards, and it was a pretty good toss. It was still a Nick Mullins pass, right? It was
Nick Mullins isn't bad. He just wants to be the hero.
Right. It was a hero ball throw. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
And he got away with it. But he still completed the pass to Jones. But it was definitely a hero ball throw. There's no question in my mind. Like, it was one of those, no, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Our kids are really stuck on that show, We Can Be Heroes. Every time Mullins comes in, it kind of reminds me of that. We can be heroes just for one day.
The replacement.
It's like, oh, you really shouldn't. You shouldn't. No. You should be a quarterback.
But you got to. He was in for one play, and it was a huge play. It was big in a scoring drive.
I'm not gonna lie, I was listening to it on my car, and my stomach dropped. I was like, "Oh no,
it's going deep."
So I get dropped off with my middle at his last football games, and she goes home to get something from home. And
what did we forget?
I was on her way back, and she's texting me updates. And right as I sit down to start watching, he's getting warmed up and everything, she's texting me, "Darnold's down." What?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Oh, I had to drop the dog off. That's what it was.
Yeah, that's right.
That's what it was.
And it's like, what do you mean Darnold's down? And then she texts, "It doesn't look good." I'm like, no.
Yeah.
And it didn't. He was down for a while, but it ended up being no big deal. So
yeah. What was did it ever come out with what was wrong with him?
I don't know. It looked like
got the wind knocked out of him. Or something?
Might have been just a hit to the ribs where he knocked the wind out of him. I don't know. He didn't seem to be fazed by it. He came back pretty quickly.
He did. I mean, it was one play, and then he's like, "Oh, Darnold's back on the field." Oh.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, and then Rodgers had to go and copy him and do the same thing.
Oh, please.
I don't need to go on the 10. I'll come back out.
If it weren't for the roughing the punter, he would have been in that tent wondering, trying to make new career choices probably. What am I doing here?
Yeah.
I mean, I just got my coach fired today, so.
Have you heard any of the stuff coming out about that?
Well, the rumors I've been hearing is that Hackett was going to get fired by Saleh.
Yeah.
And that when Rodgers heard that, he kind of made a stink and helped get Saleh fired. That's all rumor and
No, well, that's kind of what the vibes have been when people are like tweeting about it, because he was like escorted out. He didn't know he was going to be fired until they called him into his office.
Yeah, he thought he was just going in for a regular meeting.
And like, why? Why is he fired?
Can you imagine like showing up to work thinking that you're going to let your offensive coordinator go?
You lost to
You
an
go to a
undefeated
meeting,
team.
You lose to an undefeated team, and all of a sudden, nope, you're gone.
You lost to an undefeated team, and you made everyone say, "Oh, like they're not doing very good this game."
The Jets since 2000. This will be their 8th head coach since 2000.
So I will just say, the way they fired him gives me a lot of KOC vibe of when they let KOC go.
Yeah, when they brought him into the office.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're gonna let you go.
It was very corporate.
Yeah, it's like oh, those videos were all circulating before the game, like the week before and all that. And it's like oh, Saleh got fired. Huh. Yeah. I wonder how they did it.
But in looking at the coach, so this is their 8th coach. So we'll say seven up until today, right? We count 7. The worst record was from Googly Eyes, who was just there. Adam Gase.
Oh, yeah.
Gase had the worst record of all these coaches. Saleh was number 2. So he had the second worst winning percentage of the last 7 coaches.
But, like, they traded for a good quarterback to be their starter, and he got injured, 10 minutes into the very first game of the season?
4 plays.
Yeah, so I feel like it's not fair for him to use that against him, and then for Rodgers to use that against him when, like, he's the reason the record is so bad.
Yeah, he had 6 starting quarterbacks in his almost 3 years.
And I'm just like, what did they expect would happen with Wilson? Like, they brought him in as a backup for a reason. And Rodgers has this, it frustrates me that, like, I feel bad for him because his defense is literally like the best in the NFL.
That's what he's good at. Defense is his thing.
So you shouldn't fire the coach who has a good defense. You should fire the coach that has the bad offense.
But if the coach with the bad offense
gets
along with the diva quarterback who's making a lot of money,
and they're still bad,
that team is a mess. They're not the Panthers, but they're not great.
They're so bad.
They have no direction.
It's crazy to me that they get. How long has Saleh been their head coach?
2021, he got hired. I think it was.
Okay.
3 years. Yeah.
3 years. And how long did we hold on to Zim?
But really,
8 years, right?
But like, how long did we hold on to Zim when it was like past his time?
He was 8 years, I think, in Minnesota.
So
and Zim is doing crap in Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't count the last game because it started late and the Steelers' offense is just not good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they still did bad.
Yeah, it's.
Oh, what's up, George?
Hi, George.
Okay, that's George.
Welcome, George.
Welcome, George.
Let's
go.
Yeah, you can't count a game against the Steelers. Like even then, they still scored too many points.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
And the Dallas has good personnel. Like they aren't lacking in personnel on defense.
Yeah, no.
when they're anticipated to be the number one defense in the league coming into the season, and they're
Not even top.
bottom 10.
No.
Oh, it's a bummer.
I'm just glad we're not the Jets.
Yeah.
Plus they have a geography problem because they call themselves the New York Jets and they've not played there.
What I will say, how nice is it
to see everyone else's problems?
To see everyone else's problems.
It's true.
And we're over here is like, we're just riding the high.
We're just glad we're not them.
Yeah.
So far we're not. Yeah, I mean,
instead of everyone saying, "Man, at least we're not the Vikings."
Look how much
the Vikings are not them.
Look how much they suck versus look how much we suck.
Yeah. Our biggest problems is our punting
and special teams. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Our punt coverage is not great, and we make too many. We had too many penalties on Sunday. Mm-hmm. No, life is good, and so good that we get to pick stars of the game again after a win.
Yeah.
So let's go around the table. We always start with Cora.
Oh boy.
Ladies first. Uncle Brian's here.
Let's see. Let's start with Dan this time.
You start with me?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, Brian's on. Hey, Brian.
Hey, Brian. That's my uncle.
He said he'd stop by for a little bit, so he true to his word.
My star of the game.
There were a decent amount. I think all of our X Factors were a star in their own right.
I think I got to go with Gilmore,
except for maybe JJ. I don't think he was a real star. But all the rest of our X Factors were definitely.
You're just gonna jump right to the next segment, aren't you?
No. I'm just saying they all were stars. So we picked really well.
Yeah, we did. So Gilmore.
I think Gilmore is my star of the game.
That's fair. He did come in very clutch.
The coverage that he had into the game, interception, like just the veteran experience shine through.
Yeah.
I think he led the team in tackles too with 6.
Let's go.
Yeah. We had 20 different players have a tackle in that game.
Yeah. It was beautiful.
It was a really good game.
I believe the best tweet I saw from Sunday, I believe that's Mr. Gilmore's ball, was the best tweet I saw.
Yeah.
All right, Cora, what do we got?
I am going to pick, only because I'm very excited that he got a touchdown, Mr. CJ Ham. The old man still able to get it into the old man, still able to get it into the end zone. That was really fun.
It was, and thankfully there was a dropped interception right before that play. Oops.
Right. Right.
Oops.
Oh, that was gonna be a heavy tip. Like I saw it tip. I'm like, no.
Whoops. Slippery. CJ Ham, very nice star. Oh, I have so many choices from this one that you didn't take.
That's a good one, Brian. Just wait till our next segment.
Yeah, wait till the next segment. He wants Van Ginkel. Yeah. I have him on my list, but honestly, the pick 6 was his big play of the day. He was pretty quiet otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what?
Coverage, but yeah.
I'm going to go off of everything I have on my list. And my star for Sunday, B-Flow.
There you go. There we go.
Because that whole defense was aggressive all day. 3 picks, a pick 6 in there, few sacks. They made the old man look old on Sunday. And
it was way more balanced across the board. Like it wasn't like we had a second half meltdown.
We had, again, I said 20 different guys that had tackles in that game. Our high tackle was 6, and that was Harry had 6 and Gilmore had 6.
Let's go.
So that's a balance. That's a very balanced game from your defense. So I'm going with B-Flow as my star. I had a bunch of guys down, and I looked at it. I said, nah, you got to just give it to B-Flow for how he dialed up a great defense for Sunday.
Yes. It's hard to pick stars of the game when it's when I feel like it's the defense is the star of the game.
Yep, and that's
Like, I mean, they even got a game ball. The whole defense got a game ball at the end of the game.
that was great. I always watch, especially after a win, I watch the locker room. And when he just flipped the game ball up for the whole defense, that was his mic drop for the day.
Yeah.
So those are our stars. X Factors.
Yeah.
I wish Harry would have won.
Luke had JJ.
Luke had
Definitely
JJ.
not the winner.
No.
And he had a decent game, but he was not the winner.
No.
Dan had not your average linebacker.
Yep.
And a pick six from 63 yards out gives you a really good chance at winning.
It gives me a chance.
Cora had Harry, 6 tackles, led the way. He had a big
Rodgers.
Sack. He had a big sack and he had a tackle for loss. A really good game. I had Will the Thrill. Who was 3 for 3. Who had 2 50-plus yarders in the rain in Tottenham.
Yeah. Yep.
41-yarder that put us in position where Jets had to score a touchdown. And 11 of our 23 points.
I mean, I think there's a clear winner. Begrudgingly, I think he won.
I told you guys he was going to have a day.
I told you Harry would have a day, and he did.
Yes, he did.
He didn't have as good a day as Will.
Right. Van Giegel had a pick 6.
And he had a pick. We all had really good picks for our X Factor.
Right.
But when you got a guy that they nicknamed Striker playing in a country known for its soccer, where there is a position called the striker, I couldn't pass on the chance to take my kicker. It's just that last kick. If you were watching the very biased call from Rich Eisen, the Jets fan, and I love Rich Eisen, he's great, but he was so biased in this game. He watched that last kick. He said, "Oh, I see it. It's fading right, or it's bleeding right."
I thought it faded right. No.
It's not bleeding right. He's pulling that sucker right back inside. He's tucking it in the corner.
Yeah,
it wasn't fading right. You could see when he kicked it, he had a little draw to it.
It's so reassuring, and I think we're in love with him more than a normal fan base would be because he's doing so well, and he's
making field goals.
We just have such a tumultuous history with kickers.
He's making long field goals, and we have to stress that because
and mid-range field goals,
right? But Greg Joseph was like 40 for 40 inside 40 yards,
right? But he doesn't have like this weird gap
that we know of yet.
Yeah,
right.
We haven't seen him kick everywhere yet.
I just like to watch the way he drives through the ball.
I want to see how far he can go. I want there to be a game where they kick a field. Just try kicking a field goal on there's 5 yards away, 4th and whatever, and then they are up by 14 points maybe, and they just try a 64-yard field goal.
I had one of my friend Brian from North Dakota. I think it's North, might be South, but he checked in today and he said, "Wouldn't you love to see this kid try a 70-yarder?" And I said the same thing. Only if the game is out of reach. Like he said, well, make us try a 70-yarder for the win. I said, no. I don't want to be in position where we need a 70-yard field goal to win a game. No.
Maybe when it's like the very end of the game, and instead of you take a knee, you try for it.
Right. But if it's
would be perfect.
If it's between a Hail Mary and a 70-yarder, which one are you taking?
I think
it depends on where we're playing the game. Where's the game?
US Bank.
You'd have to feel really good about how he looked in pregame.
He looks good.
But I still think probably
in the game so far he's made a 63 and had some clearance.
I still think it's different though in game situations because there's nobody coming at you.
He already made a 63 with clearance.
Will it go into overtime?
No, it's for the win.
or is it for the win?
It's for the win.
Because if it's for either going into overtime or going in for the win, so it doesn't matter if he makes it or not, I'd kick it instead of a Hail Mary.
Well, if we're
down and he needs to make it, I'd go with a Hail Mary.
If you're already
I trust
tied,
Justin Jefferson more than I trust him right now.
If you're already tied and you want to try it to win it in regulation, maybe. But don't forget, 70-yard field goal has to have a lower trajectory. So if somebody gets through on that low trajectory and blocks it, it could be a scoop six and you're done.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really, I don't like 70-yard field goal attempts.
That's fair. I want to see him try it when we're up by like 14 or more. I like maybe at the end of a half.
End of a half with a couple of touchdown leads and nothing really to lose. Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah.
But again, if you come up short and they return it.
Instead of taking a knee, you try for a field goal.
But if you come up short and they get a chance to return it, returning field goals is a lot different than returning punts because nobody prepares for that.
And it's also, if they return it, there's a very high likelihood that Will gets hurt trying to tackle the guy.
Yeah, because Vikings.
That's the Vikings.
Because Vikings.
Exactly. Yeah.
I totally agree. But it's fun to think about.
Yes, it is.
We don't have a game next week.
I know.
So we don't need to talk about I'm not going to talk about the Lions this week. I don't want to talk about that game. I want to relax. What we do have next week, special treat. We're having a kids' day show on Tuesday.
We're having a kids' show.
Yeah. Kids will be here. Well,
now, your kids and my kids are a little different in terms of age.
Yes.
Yeah. Still counts. It's all the same.
Yeah.
But my girls decided they could do it, and so we'll be starting a little earlier next week for anybody who is around and wants.
Anyone's still listening? We're starting at 8 Central.
8 Central next week, but we will have kids, and when mine come on, you will realize that they are not kids anymore.
They're still your kids.
They're still my kids, but they're definitely not kids.
They are to you.
Because I'm older than dirt. All right. Let's go with a little Cora Get Defensive now.
All right.
Now that we've made our announcement for next week.
So my little segment here is in the beginning of the season, everyone always talked about like why the Vikings were going to stink. And they always talked that the Vikings were going to stink because Sam Darnold and the defense. Like the defense is just a modge podge of players put together. They're not like a stout defense. They don't have any corners because we had a rookie corner and then he passed away and all of the issues that were happening with our corners.
Yep.
So that was a large reason of why the Vikings weren't going to be good because of the defense. And I really love the fact that we are now so good because of said defense. I love it that it has now flipped over and Sam Darnold's been doing really, really good. Yep. And the offense has been doing really, really good. But what has saved in games so many times has been the defense. Even against the Jets, they talk about how the defense was the shining star and that offense didn't have a great game. And so I will say we are more of a bend, don't break defense. And it definitely shows when it comes up in our stats because we are 30th in passing yards, which makes sense because that's our weakest spot. We're 16th in yards per game. Points against, we are only 4th. Rushing and sacks, we are 2nd. And interceptions, we are 1st. So we are a bend, not break defense. And I think those stats say it perfectly. And it is evident where we are weak. Very evident by the fact that we are 30th. We are the bottom in one stat and then the top in all the rest. Top half and all the rest. So
top 5.
Well, the 16th.
Oh, yeah,
yards per game we're 16th. Yeah. So, but that has to do with the passing yards because we're the 30th. So there's always room for improvement. I think when, like, because Gilmore was added late, I think when Gilmore and Smith and Pace and Murphy and all of Metellus, when they all start working together and become a single-brained unit, I think we're going to jump up more with passing yards. But I've heard this before, we are a bend, don't break defense. It alarms me a little bit because we are 30th, but we're first in interceptions, which is why we're so low in, points against.
Yeah, and those stats are cool, but if you really dig into them, right, we're putting oppositions into deep holes early.
Mm-hmm.
They can't run the ball, so they're throwing more often.
Yeah.
So there's no balance on the offense. So yeah, you're probably going to give up a lot more yards passing because the opposition can't run on you, and because we've put our last two opponents down by multiple scores early, so they got to throw to get caught up.
Yep.
So 30th would be alarming if, like you said, all those other stats weren't adding up.
Yep.
I don't get too alarmed by 30th in yards allowed in the passing game, especially when there's a lot of garbage yards.
Well, we're 30th in yards allowed in the passing game and second in yards allowed in the rushing game.
Right.
So, like,
no
we're
balance.
as bad as we are on that end, we're as good as we are on this end. And if we didn't force them to be pass all the time, that probably would come down, like you said.
Yeah. So I love hearing it. Like, I loved when it was brought up over the weekend. Another 30. It's like, yeah. Fine. Well, when you're down 28-0 in the middle of the second quarter, you're not gonna stick with your ground game.
When all you can do is pass, you're bound to get some passes.
Oh, when you have to get a score and you can't, you're not trying to waste time on the clock.
And when you're up by multiple scores and a late touchdown, all you're trying to do is let the clock run out. And so you're not putting pressure on the quarterback. You're just you're playing Ed Donatel defense, right? You're playing that umbrella. Let them have all the yards they want because they're eating up clock while they're doing it. It's not the number of yards, it's the quality of the yards they're getting. Yep. And I would like to see how many quality yards are in there.
And I will say, I do like the term bend, not break.
Absolutely.
Because it's exactly what you were saying. They are allowing all the yards, but they're not allowing any points.
No, it's when they're doing it.
Yep.
Good stuff. Always good stuff. And a great lead-in for more good stuff up for a change.
Yes. We had a really good week.
I did not start him, and I regret it.
Just in the Nix of Time.
Oh,
yeah.
There it is.
So here's my segment.
Talk about Bo.
Talk about Bo. So Bo had a great week. Better yet, Bo had a great second half. The first half of the game. So I was unable to watch it, but I listened to it. And just listening to it in the way, like where they were describing where his passes were going, where he was missing everything, it was very much his timing and accuracy seemed a little off, but he also seemed like he was getting rushed a bit behind the line from the defense. Whatever they did in the locker room to make adjustments worked. I also noticed they weren't throwing as many screen passes. They started taking more open shots down the field with play actions. And the run game, for whatever reason, decided to come alive. And they actually had production on the run game. Passing-wise, Bo Nix went 19 for 27 on 207 yards with 2 TDs. which arguably should have been 3 due to the ball that Franklin probably should have caught because it went right through his arms in the end zone. 117.2 QBR. Really good.
Yeah, solid.
He targeted 10 different receivers with Williams, Sutton, and McLaughlin, all the leading targets. 6, 5, and 4 targets each. Sutton still is having very poor production. He got a touchdown, but his production's just he's not producing for a number one receiver. Got into it a bit with Peyton on the sideline, which I think was great to see.
The interview was, what did you guys say to each other? He said that he loves me, and then I told him I love him too.
Yep. Yeah.
That was pretty good.
And then the interview with Peyton. What did you guys say? I'm not going to tell you guys. You're not privy to that. And the way I see it is it's Bo finally saying, I'm not throwing your damn screen passes all the time. It's not working. What you've been doing isn't working. We need to change it. And I mean, even I'll give Bo credit because he could have, he laid into Franklin on the sideline for not catching it. But in the post-game interviews, he took the fault. And he said, I overthrew him. It's like, well, he's an NFL receiver and the ball went through his arms. Like, even if you're running full speed and you're in the NFL and you don't have anyone on you, you should catch that ball.
He's showing maturity.
He has throughout all of these games for being eaten alive by everyone.
It probably helps that he's an older rookie, though, too.
Yeah.
By 1 year with, on average, 8 more games than everyone else. Like everyone's picturing him as this super old quarterback. He's older as a rookie, but it's the same maturity I think you see out of someone who's been a backup or a number 2 or number 3 that's starting at the same age.
Yeah.
So it's what you expect for someone that's of the age, but better than what you expect out of a rookie.
Yeah, and that's what I was getting at. There's a maturity from his age. Not a football maturity, but an overall age maturity that seems to be helping him, at least for right now.
Very, very large side note, because we were talking about older players. Sam Darnold is the same age as Joe Burrow. He's a year younger than Josh Allen, 2 years younger than Baker Mayfield, 4 years younger than Dak Prescott, and 6 years younger than Geno Smith. I feel like he's been in the NFL for so long because he came in super young. I didn't realize
that Geno Smith was so old.
Yeah, no, he's been around a while. Another former Jet who couldn't wait to get out of there.
Yeah.
That baffles me. How old is Bo Nix? 24?
24.
He is 3 years older than Bo Nix.
Yeah.
He's so young.
It just feels like he's older because he's bounced around a little bit.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then it's the same thing as put him up against Jaden Daniels, right?
He's 2 years younger than Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Football years are different.
Yeah.
It's
that
weird.
Just baffles me.
Anyways, that's what I got on.
Sorry.
I'd like to see him continue this. I'd like to see the play calling in the second half be continued to where they're not calling as many screens. They've got to continue the run production. They actually, the offensive line was able to open up some holes and be able to help produce the run production. But that's going to be one of the bigger points is if they can continue what they were doing in the second half.
You're not helping your rookie quarterback if you can't have a balanced offense.
Yeah.
You can't put everything on his shoulders. It's not going to work. And normally it's not going to work.
Well, and it's a lot of what's been going on with the offense is across the board, he hasn't been getting help. He hasn't been getting blocking. He hasn't been getting run production. His receivers haven't been catching passes.
Yep.
Like this week, I'll give Sutton the little bit of doubt I'll give Sutton the credit that he was targeted 5 times, but only caught 2 passes. 2 of those passes were uncatchable. And it's one of those I'll give him, but all the games before, he's just not getting help. You can't, you got to step it up if you got a rookie quarterback. You can't rely on a veteran quarterback like you can. You have to step up. And he's not getting that.
And it's going to be hard for him to continue to develop without that.
Yeah.
Maybe they can go get Devontae Adams.
There's rumor.
They wouldn't trade him to
the in the Denver news mill. There's rumor that they would like to get him.
The Raiders wouldn't give him to the Broncos.
They might. Depends
they
on
might.
Aren't they in the same division?
They are, but they don't hate them the way they hate the Chiefs.
Well, and they're not as big a threat.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So they might see that.
You give them
all right, let's start that rumor. Devontae Adams to the Broncos.
Yeah, because you give them a wide receiver 1 because Sutton's a wide receiver 2, but you're paying your wide receiver 2 like he's a wide receiver 1, and you would pay your wide receiver 1 like he's a wide receiver 2.
Oh, but the Broncos don't have money. Aren't they still paying Wilson?
Yeah, they're paying a ton to Wilson.
All right, well.
They're still paying Wilson, but they want to pick and
let the Broncos figure that part out.
Yeah, let the Broncos figure that out. All right, let's go, John. You got yourself a game.
Back.
We got a Valhalla Back. It is not based on our upcoming opponent because our upcoming opponent is a bye.
Is it a bye week? Or are you going to bring us back to the Love Boat?
No, I have a game.
No.
Good.
I do have a game. September 29th, 2013.
Okay.
Vikings Steelers. Vikings get on the board first, with about 12 minutes left in the first. Blair Walsh hits a 54-yard bomb.
We probably watched this game together while we were dating.
Yeah.
This was big. Earlier in the drive, Ike Taylor had an interception right in his hands. Cordero Patterson, as the receiver, stripped the ball out of Taylor's hands to keep the drive alive.
We could watch this one together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4 minutes later, Matt Castle,
Let's
making
go.
his first ever start as a Viking, hits Greg Jennings with a 70-yard touchdown pass. Just a quick slant. Jennings made a move or two, took it to the house. Vikings up 10-zip. Pittsburgh cuts back into the lead. Le'Veon Bell, 8-yard touchdown run with about 4 minutes left in the first. We end the first quarter at 10-7. Early in the second, Adrian Peterson, 60 yards to the house, pushes the lead back to 10. Vikings up 17-7. Pittsburgh again would come back with a field goal. Sean Sweesham, 26-yard chip shot, 17-10. Right before halftime, though, Walsh gets those points back with a field goal. The Vikings take a 20-10 lead. Now, on this drive, Castle got stripped on a 3rd and 5, fumbles forward. Jerome Simpson, falls on the ball beyond the marker for the first down to keep the drive alive. Vikings up 20-10 at the half. With 11 and a half minutes to play in the third, Le'Veon Bell's second touchdown from a yard out. That cuts the lead to 20-17. That came after Josh Robinson committed a 48-yard DPI in the end zone.
Jesus.
So, 2017, we get the points back. 5 minutes later, AP from 7 yards out, 27-17. Then, Chad Greenway intercepts a pass with about 5 minutes left in the third. Castle and Jennings hook up from 16 yards out. Vikings carry a 34-17 lead into the fourth. In the fourth, Ben Roethlisberger finds Jericho Cotchery from 15 yards out, cuts the lead to 10, 34-24. 3:37 to play in the game. Sweesha makes a field goal from 28. The lead is down to 7. Pittsburgh would get down to the Vikings 6-yard line with 19 seconds to play. Roethlisberger drops back. Everson Griffin takes his big old hand, grabs Ben by the collar, no call, strips him of the ball. Pat Williams falls on the ball. Vikings hold on for a 34-27 victory.
Williams Wall, baby.
Castle had a great game, 16 for 25, 248 yards, 2 touchdowns. AP also a great game, 23 carries, 140 yards, 2 touchdowns. Our big receiver on the day, Jerome Simpson, 124 yards on 7 catches. That would be the second and final time he would have a 100-yard receiving day as a Viking. Greg Jennings chipped in with 92 yards and the 2 touchdowns. Chad Greenway, 10 tackles and an interception. Josh Robinson, 12 tackles. Aaron Henderson, 9 tackles. And we had a safety, second-year safety, who combined had 7 tackles in the game. You may know his name, Harrison Smith, ring a bell?
Hitman?
Yeah.
Pretty good game for his second year.
That's
Why did I pick this game leading into our bye week? That was the first time the Minnesota Vikings would travel over across the pond to England, taking their first of what is now 4 consecutive wins in England. That is Valhalla Back for this week.
I am pretty sure we watched this together.
Yep.
This was one of our might have been
This is
one
our
of our
second season.
first. No, because you came in
2012.
2012.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was great because it was on CBS before like the NFL Network existed, and so everybody got to watch it.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was something. And I watched the sack a couple of times. There was definitely a horse collar that was not called.
You know what? That's too bad.
Kinda, yeah.
Is the hip drop thing is that just a fine right now, or is that?
No, it's a penalty, but I haven't heard much about the hip drop.
I haven't seen it called, but I've seen it be performed and executed a lot.
I don't think they're calling it.
I don't think so either. Stupid.
I really don't.
Because I mean, I'm sitting there watching. I've seen it happen time and time again in every game I've watched. And the announcers mention it and they mention
it and they're like, I don't know if this 100% constitutes, but it might.
When it's like you see the guy wrap around and then kick his legs out and drop.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I don't think the officials really want to call it, nor do they really know how to call it.
All right.
I don't know.
I'm going to jump right into our Norsetradamus question because
we're pushing up on an hour. Do we want to?
Yeah, we're coming up on an hour, and I want to know what your answer is to this, John.
So she's going to ask anyway. We're going for it. We're going beyond an hour.
It's just quick answers. You don't have to give a big explanation.
All right.
What past historical sporting event would you want to attend in person? Like if you could do a time machine and go back and watch it, which one would it be?
1995 Game 6 World Series Atlanta Braves over the Cleveland Indians. I want to be there.
Nice.
Yep.
Mine is the 2008 Beijing Olympics, the men's 4x100, where Jason Lezak snuck out the French team.
Nice.
Literally the best comeback in sports history.
What do you got, Dan?
58 World Series.
Which one?
What do you mean?
Which
one?
The game winning. Which game?
I would go Game 7.
So many
Against the
good
Braves.
ones. Even to be at Bob Fell or not Bob, but to be at the perfect game, the Don Larson perfect game would have been cool.
Yep. Lars, like any, I would take any perfect game, any team.
We did wake Troy up to watch the
last year. Domingo Germain's perfect game. We woke our oldest up
to come down and watch it. He was oblivious to what it was. He go, "Oh, that's kind of cool."
My dad was at Doc Gooden's no-hitter. And this will always haunt me. In 1984, when Rigetti pitched the no-hitter on 4th of July, my cousins went to the game and they had an extra ticket, and I had a bad foot injury and couldn't go. So I could have been at a no-hitter and I didn't get to.
That is.
I've played in no-hitters, but I mean that's JUCO and college.
I was the closest one to getting a hit in a no-hitter. We got no hit once, and I was the closest one to actually getting a base hit.
I have broken up 3 perfect games.
Jerk.
Yeah.
With a bunt, did you bunt in any of them? Because that would be cool.
Heck no.
I would totally bunt to break up a perfect game because that's the kind of person I am.
Yeah, you're the kind of guy that gets the next guy at beam too.
Yep. I'd bunt to break it up, and it'd be like I would have no shame in doing it at all.
Yeah. I saw one no broken up by a bunt, and the coach left the pitcher in for the next batter just to hit him.
Just to hit him?
Yep. And the coach is over on the sideline.
I would have been like, if I was stepping into the box after that, I would have turned to the umpire and said, if he hits me, I'm charging him out. You might as well throw me out because if he hits me, it's going to be on.
Yeah. As a hitter, I would charge at the guy who bunted. Like, nope. This is on you.
That's baseball. That's pure baseball.
Oh.
See, we don't want to go into this too deep.
I know. Well, we would go way over.
Dan, do you have a question that you want to ask? Or
I'm good.
All right, I have a quick one then.
All right.
For both of you, your favorite sitcom of all time? Real easy.
Friends. Sitcom. Friends. I own all 10 seasons on DVD.
You either love that one or hate it. I am not a lover of Friends. But I get it. Dan?
Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang.
My father loved the Big Bang Theory.
I think we have the first 4 seasons.
4 seasons, yeah.
On DVD?
Yeah.
For me, it's The Office.
That's fair.
I grew up in the Scranton area.
Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec.
That's I don't like Parks and Rec. The Office. Grew up in Scranton. I got all the references. I went to the convention when it came to town. I went to the rap party when they came to Scranton to do that.
That's awesome.
Nice.
I met Brian Baumgartner a couple of times. I met Angela Kinsey a couple of times. I met Ed Helms and got his autograph.
I don't know who any of those people are.
They're on The Office.
Okay.
Well, Ed Helms you probably know from The Hangover.
You would know his face.
We're the Millers. Did you see We're the Millers?
He would know the face.
Dan, you got to see some movies.
I don't pay attention to who they are.
Yeah, but I can at least tell you who the character is if you saw the movie.
No.
He would know the face. He would know the face. He's so pretty. He's so pretty. Yeah. Look at him. Oh, he's so pretty.
Give him a juice box and a fruit roll up, and he'll be fine.
Here you go. Have a Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, I loved it. But what I'm watching now, I'm binge watching from the 70s because I grew up. This was like an edgy sitcom for its time, but I was young, so I didn't really follow it. It's called Soap, and it's a parody of a soap opera.
Like Dateline soap? No,
No,
Oh, it's a
Like,
parody
it's
of
a parody of a soap opera.
Okay.
It's a sitcom, but it's supposed to be like a soap opera.
I wouldn't hate that.
Yeah.
It's still funny, like 50, almost 50 years later.
Okay.
I like
It
it.
was 1977 is the first year of it.
I'll have to look at that.
I'm
Okay.
binge watching it on Tubi right now.
That's fair.
Nice.
It's fun. The acting is fantastic. All right, well that's it.
That's it.
That be it. We'll be back next week. No,
folks.
We'll be back next week with some special guests, some extra special guests.
Kids Week. Kids Week should be a lot of fun.
It's
We'll ask them.
Yep. Bring
our
your
boys are
kids.
excited.
Have your kids jump on. Say hi to our kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, bring your kids. Bring your kids to work day.
Bring your
Yeah.
kids to work.
Bring your kids to Pod Day.
Yeah, we'll start something new.
Sure.
I don't know. I just made it up.
That's okay. We make a lot of stuff up on this show.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's fair. That's fair.
This whole show is made up.
True that.
We are blind.
We,
So-
we have a loose outline. We don't really follow it all that closely.
Yeah.
Have a great week. Enjoy the bye week,
Relaxing
Vikings
week.
fans.
Yeah.
Our blood pressure doesn't have to raise.
Nope. I can watch football on Sunday all day with
Yeah.
no blood pressure problems.
This is
Yeah.
the first Sunday we get to watch football all day because we don't have anything going. Okay, we have baseball
Well,
in the evening,
Yeah, we have baseball in the evening.
but we don't have anything during the day.
Yeah. We have off season now.
Of all weeks for that to be where there's no Vikings
Yeah.
game to watch.
Yeah. And of
Yeah.
course, last week when Lucas had his playoffs, it was at the London game. Anyway, sorry. We'll
Yep.
let you guys go.
We're at
It's been
our limit. It's always a great time. We could talk forever.
Yes.
Sometimes we go off the air and still keep talking. So
Yep.
have a great night and a great rest of your week. And we will see you next Tuesday for Kids Night. Oh,
Go.
Let's go.
Go.
Let's go.
Go.
go, go, go.
Go. Go. Go. Go. Go.